Hi everyone, it's Sam. I really enjoyed watching everybody's videos because I always like to hear what other people think about their readings. It helps me a lot at times to interpret what I've read. I can be a slow reader and not always comprehend it as well. But I will start off with Daniela's video. And one thing I really liked about your video is that you incorporated your personal experiences along with your mentoring experience. And I feel like that gives it a little more relatable experiences to your students that you're helping out because they understand what you've been through and can understand that you can help them along the way. And what I especially liked about what you talked about was that people need to admit that they need help and being clear about where they are in life and where they're wanting to go. And I feel like with your experience, you're able to help them along the way with that. And then when you talked about your two students having different backgrounds, whereas you have one that wants to do kind of the minimum required, and then the other one wants to excel, do everything they possibly can. And I think it's easy to for you to identify their self-awareness as well as what they're doing. And I feel like you can help them out very well. And for Christina, I liked that you did the additional readings versus the ones in the book, and I was able to get some insight of what you thought. And I liked that you talked about the stereotypes versus the cultural learning differences, and using the Asian culture as an example. Whether a campus is highly diverse or a little diverse, there might be people from other cultures, and it can be very hard for us to understand where they're coming from and what their purposes and what they're doing on the campus. And then you also talked about the dropout and whether they are voluntarily dropping out or they're being kicked out due to grades. And also you talk about understanding why versus how to help. And I think that's very important. You should know both because when it comes to retention, that's very important to four-year universities and also even 2 years. And moving on to Timothy, first I want to thank you for answering my question regarding the seventh vector for Checkering's theory. I like how you approached it, and it helped me learn a little bit more as well. And for Bloom's taxonomy, I think I said that right, is how you talk about it still being used, and you talked about the differences between the old and the new model and how it went from nouns to verbs, and for the verbs what you need to do, what actions need to be taken. And I'm glad you touched on this because I really wanted to relate my experiences at the clubhouse to this, but I struggled with it because I wasn't quite sure. Some might be able to excel more than others, but they can sometimes be limited due to their injuries. And then retention, I really like how you focused on that we need to stop talking to faculty members and asking the students. Asking the students is a key importance to figuring out why they might be transferring or potentially transferring. And I completely understand you talk about financial, academic support, and family support. I know when I was at Lewisburg, I lost one of my scholarships through financial aid because of government cutbacks, and I probably would have had to transfer because I couldn't afford it, but the college had enough money to cover what I would have lost. So that helped me in terms of retention for their end. And finally, for Samantha S., I liked how you talked about Schlotzberg's transition theory. I think I said that right. I'm really horrible with pronouncing names. But you also talked about how you transitioned, and it can easily be talked about how students transition from high school to undergrad, and how it's not easy living with parents and then going to living on their own. I think we all can relate to that. I know I commuted for my first 2 years, and then my last 2 years of undergrad, I lived on campus and had the same experience at both colleges I attended, but it was definitely a transition not having my family right there with me almost at all times. And it is important to also talk about the COBS, I think it is, learning, and talking about how students are constantly learning and developing through experiences. And I think we can also learn that as faculty and staff members, that as time goes, we can learn and improve on that as well. And once again, I appreciate watching all of your videos and learning from everything. I hope we get to work in a group together in the future, and I hope y'all have a great night.